now, I guess with that being said, and you had started to talk a little bit about the whole home makeover.
Yeah.
So I guess how did that play out, or how did that I guess persuade you in terms of getting in maybe to real estate? Because it seems like from what was coming from that is I got off into real estate because I had
Yeah.
or because of this show, or
Yeah,
you
I guess I was watching too much HGTV, and I'm like, you know what, I could do this. I would totally want to do this. So one day, this is an absurd story because it
okay.
was absurd.
I love stories,
I
especially if they're absurd.
I was flipping through Facebook Marketplace on my phone, and a house pops up, and the house was like located in a really good area, um, and it was at a very, very cheap price. The reason why it was at a cheap price was because the house partially burnt down, and so I'm
Oh,
like, it's beautiful. So I took a look at the house, and the owner was under the impression, okay, so it burnt down, and she's like, I'm going to sell it. I'm just going to take the insurance money. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to rebuild this location. I'm just going to sell it. So she made out okay, and I think she made the best decision for the situation. And so I looked at it, and I purchased the house for the value of the property minus the cost to take it down. And my hope was that I could actually salvage some or all of the structure and make a profit off of kind of rebuilding it and restoring it from there. So this was right when the pandemic began, and there was very low competition in the real estate market because everyone was afraid. And I'm like, I'm bored. I need another project, and I really, really think this is fun. And I had cash from liquid cash where I could buy a property like this because nobody's going to finance a
yeah,
house like
absolutely not at all. I don't think a bank or a lender would finance a partially
yeah.
burnt down home.
And so I bought the house. I did as a lawyer, I did all the paperwork and everything. I did use a title company the first time around, but I don't use them anymore because I
Okay.
learned how to do that myself. Um, and so I bought the house, and hired some people to work with me, and we gutted it down to the studs.
Okay. Wow.
And it took about 8 dumpsters worth of stuff, and it
Wow.
was the nastiest thing I've ever done. But I ended up selling the house for like 3 times what I bought it for. Uh,
Really?
but I didn't complete the house. I just gutted it down to its frame, and I sold the framed out house. But I had a 3D modeling background, or I have a 3D modeling background because I've self-taught for products, and I built out a digital twin of the house, and I constructed it as it would look in a final version of the house. And then I used that to sell it on Zillow. And someone saw the renders and the kind of the house, and they loved the price was at a point where they can take over the existing structure, and they had some general plans to work off of, and they could renovate it to their specifications. And so that's how I was able to kind of sell a framed out house that was previously burnt down.
So you didn't do anything. So I guess when you tore the inside down to the studs, did that kind of make it look better, or kind of resolve the issues as relates to being partially burned, or was that something that the buyer obviously knew
Yeah.
and they were willing to kind of
No, full transparency on everything. I gutted it down to the studs so you could see everything.
right?
Like there was nothing hidden because everything was, visible to the naked eye. Nothing was hidden behind walls. And one benefit here is, okay, so it's an older house, so it's all shiplap. And then essentially what I do on top of the shiplap is you take a Kills restoration paint, and I had the whole house basically sprayed down
Yep.
to seal it. And so essentially you've got this house, and it's framed out, and all you have to do is just add the wiring, the piping, the insulation,
Yeah.
and the drywall and stuff. And then you have kind of already a pre-design that you can work off of. And someone who had flipped a few of his own homes in the past wanted to take on the project from where I left it off.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most capital efficient thing for me to do,
Yeah.
is take the big amount of profits and then eliminate my risk of completing the project.
So and again, you're absolutely right. A lot of times, builders or developers, it's easier to deal with the house at the studs as opposed to having to worry about doing what you did in terms of tearing things down and maybe finding things out. It's like, no, you see what it is as far as it being down to the studs, and now you know what you have to work with, like you said, as far as plumbing and wiring and then doing the drywall and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting. So I guess, are you saying that, based on what you paid for it plus what it cost to tear things down to the studs, you still made 3 times of that number, or is it essentially what you paid